And now I would like to invite Eliezer for summarizing this, I think, a very nice event.
Okay, thank you, Marek. First, I would like us all to give a big round of applause for the lecturers. I think I'm sure that if Yuval would have been here, and that was actually the way Marek defined how he would have liked things to be, would Yuval have enjoyed the lectures? And I think that he would have enjoyed all of them, also the breadths and also the depths. So thank you for all your contributions. Okay, now I would also like to say that we have to remember that there is a diaspora of Israelis, which were like our first speaker. He was Professor David Gross, was educated in Israel, and his physics education, I'm sure, was perfect in atomic physics by Giulio Rakach. And we have other Israeli scientists which are abroad, are doing very good work, and are product of what we have done here, and I would like to acknowledge that. I would also like to acknowledge that there was a discussion, I think, of Professor Geller about inhomogeneities. So I think we can also acknowledge the inhomogeneity of this day here. On the one hand, we have in Israel, which is at the forefront of science, and on the other hand, we have in the same city, a few kilometers away, we have other manifestations, and it's a very complicated and inhomogeneous society from that point of view. Okay, next I would like, I will go light and heavy on these issues. So first, in my introduction, when the family was not here, I stressed several things about Yuval. Now I want to stress about what Rami said in a say, Neshama Tova, I would say a really good soul, and I'll tell you how I felt that personally. There was a person called Greenbaum, he has passed away, and he used to send me on postcards questions in physics. And I must say that to my shame, I did not answer him. There were many of these. I chose not to do it. And then one day I got a postcard which scolding me and say, who the hell do you think, well, not that words, he was a very gentle person, you think you are? Yuval Ne'eman answers me every question, and you don't answer me at all. Okay, so I called Yuval, and indeed, Yuval told me the reasons why he answered to that person who had a very difficult life, survived the concentration camps, and indeed his questions were not coherent, and it was very difficult to answer to him, but he did, so I felt shame, and from then on I did answer questions of that nature. So Ms. Greenbaum showed me this very strong part of Yuval. Then I will switch and say, when did I notice very clearly that Yuval is a theoretical physicist? Even though I'm a grandson of his scientifically, being a student of Chaim Harari, I didn't really interact with him on science. I would say I interacted on other things a lot with him, but not so much on science. So we were in Paris. The year was 2000. There was a conference for the year 2000. I went to him and tried to understand why he supports the settlements. And I tried to enter into an argument, and the way I presented the issue is I said, why are you supporting Sharon on the settlements? So he looked at me like wanting to cut me to pieces, Sharon? Who is Sharon? How many settlements did this guy already do? I did, I don't remember the number, X settlements. Sharon did Y, where Y was much smaller than X. How do you even bring up this name? Okay, so I realized he's a theoretical physicist. He wants the full credit. And when you read the various things here, you see that that is the case. Now, this issue of credit entered in, for example, the 3 first days of the Six-Day War. There was a discussion, the Israeli army or air force succeeded in 3 hours to cause heavy damage to the air forces of all our neighbors. And there was a question, should one come out and announce it, or should one not announce it? And in the government led by Eshkol, the idea was, we keep it, we keep the profile of not uncertainty and not being clear about what's going to be. But Yuval told me that he tried to convince them and at the end succeeded. No, you must tell about success. The world must know about success. So he wanted, the issue of the credit here for the country was very strong. You should show to the world who we are. Don't keep it as a secret. He also told me, and as I said, I'm now repeating for the family, that Yuval told stories, I think, with the desire that the stories be told on. So I'm telling on the stories. He told me, for example, that the idea of capturing the Hermon, which now I understand it, we are captured even more of the Hermon, but we captured the Hermon came of him in the last day of the Six-Day War, that it was his idea that some unit also take those places. Then I remember, and that's very important to say, I had a friend who told me that when you speak about a person, if everything is bright, you can't appreciate the person. So you need a little bit of background, and Chaim Harari already said he made also mistakes. I don't know the whole accounting Chaim had with him and what mistakes he thought he did or did not. I will tell you one thing which did influence me and had an influence and was a mistake. Dror Sadeh, a very good experimental physicist from Tel Aviv University, did experiments in Eilat with the hope of finding gravitational waves. And much before they were found now, and the Nobel Prize was given for them. Now, Yuval went to the radio, and I heard him on the radio, and he was saying how great this is, and then Russian refuseniks took risks and sent letters to Tel Aviv University congratulating for this effect. And then Zeev Wager from Weizmann Institute went to Eilat, because it's always your colleagues which are looking for your mistakes, found out that this was not a case where gravitational waves were found. So at the end, I heard later on from Russian refuseniks that they felt they were let down because they took a position where at the end people laughed at them that they took that position. On the other hand, nearly everything else I heard from Yuval was really looking beyond the horizon. Deep understanding, very deep intuition of how things are. My general feeling was that there was lots of dichotomies in us as a people, which were reflected in Yuval as a person. And can I have the transparencies? They're here? I'll go to the end. So, okay, let's go here. As I told you, Yuval, a soldier, a scientist, and a statesman, and most of our talk here day to day was about the scientist aspect. But Yuval started, and I hate to contradict my advisor or enjoy to contradict my advisor. It's always a delicate question. But he started not slightly left. He started pretty left. I mean, being Mapam was pretty left. You could only go to be a communist. That was the other option. So being Mapam meant that you wept when the Son of Nations was announced to die. It was deep left. But many Jews at that period actually were in that place. However, he later on moved, indeed, to the right of Likud in the Technion party. And now I want to say that I think every one of us has a Yuval in him. Each of us has a Yuval in him, and has in him the Mapam, has in him the Technion, has in him the center, or in her, the Mapam, the center, the Technion. Of course, we have it in different portions and with different weightings, but it's not zero. I think the issues which were touched upon, the security of Israel, the value systems which you need to have while acquiring this security, these things are in all of us. I said again, different weights in each, but they are there, and I think it's very important for us to recognize it. My last statement is about the physics. Okay, I did it in the beginning not to forget, Marek. Okay, so I would like to, where you cut, in my age, to cut the line of thought is a dangerous thing to do. So I'm back to the physics. So our first speaker, when he left the safety of a clear atomic physics, algebra of atomic physics and how to do it, entered into the fog of that period, because the 60s was a period in which there were many, many discoveries, many, many fantastic discoveries, but as David explained to us, no Lagrangian behind them, and actually trying to convince that maybe you don't need a Lagrangian. Now, maybe taking Shlomo's point of view, I'll do a duality. I think now we are not in the period of fog, we are in a period of maybe too much brightness. Namely, we have brilliant mathematics, very, very shiny. We have fantastic success, as we heard here again and again, of the standard model. Now, yesterday I asked David, how did he feel being in the fog? And he told me that excited him. Now, because he wanted to find the way in the fog. Now, maybe it's more difficult to find the way under the very bright sun in which we are now. But that's where we are. I think we felt it here. Within this brightness, we felt that there is a very strong attempt to find our way even in this brightness. Now, I was told to thank again, but I did it in the introduction because I usually forget at the end. So when I started, I already thanked everybody, but it never hurts to thank again. So I will thank again. I will start, even though it's not written here, to thank Marek, Karliner, with again, without whom this could have not worked. Then I would like to thank the Academy for agreeing to have this. I wanted again to thank Istvan from Hungary for bringing to the attention of everybody the fact that this is the 100th birthday of Yuval Ne'eman. He's really the person that was behind it. I want to thank Aaron Chachanover and Moti Segev for bringing this to my attention. And I want to thank, finally, on behalf of all of us, Yael and her team for making this possible. And all good things have to end, so we end.